Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Rose, Cooking with Rose International Cuisine. I'm very happy today to show you how to make easy and delicious restaurant quality shrimp gumbo without fail in less than 2 hours, including making the thickening agent, which we here in the South call the Roux, R-O-U-X, without using any oil whatsoever. Y'all, this dish is so close to my heart because I first tasted gumbo in 1988 on my honeymoon in the French Quarter in New Orleans. I fell in love with it and have eaten probably hundreds and hundreds of bowls of gumbo since then. And you typically eat gumbo with rice and or French bread. Also, I want to take some time to pause for a second, y'all. It's hurricane season right now in the South, and our thoughts and prayers go to all the folks east of us who got hit by Hurricane Sally. Also, last night, I actually made shrimp gumbo in this big pot with about 2.5 pounds of shrimp, and my family and kids ate all of it, but what's left here in this little bowl. It is so delicious. But today I'm going to show you how to make gumbo with maybe about 1 pound of shrimp in this pot right here. So let's get started. The first step in making gumbo is making the roux, and the roux, if you're not familiar with that, is spelled R-O-U-X. It's the thickening agent that you put in all kinds of gumbo. And what we typically do in the South is traditionally we would have, let's say, a cup of flour and a cup of oil. You heat the oil and you stand by the stove and you have it in low heat and you keep stirring. Once the oil is hot, you put the cup of flour, you keep stirring it for 30 minutes, 40, 45 minutes in low heat because you want that roux to cook slowly and not to burn. The roux has to be perfect or the roux will spoil the whole dish. But I've been making gumbo with baked roux. I don't use any oil whatsoever. So what you do is simple. I'm going to use 1 cup of flour. Preheat your oven to about between 425 and 440, and then use a solid metal pan, and then put your cup of flour sort of around like this, and then once the oven is preheated to either 425, 430 or 440, put it in the oven between, I would say, 40 to 50 minutes depending on your oven. Check on it. I think about after 20-25 minutes I would go and stir it, make sure you break all the clumps and what have you, and I have one done for you. This was baked in my oven early this morning at 440 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was ready in 40 minutes, and that's the color you want. It's that dark chocolate brown. This is perfect, and you can use this instead of the traditional roux with the oil in your gumbo, and it tastes just the same. It's just so delicious. So that's how you make roux healthier without using so much oil. These are the ingredients we're going to need, y'all, to make a delicious shrimp gumbo. Shrimp, of course. This is fresh shrimp, fresh off the boat yesterday, probably from the Gulf of Mexico, and they're huge, just delicious. Look at that, as big as my hand. That's what I'm using. Now, I peel this much. This is 1 pound. I had to use 2 pounds, take all the head, the skin. This is what 1 pound of peeled and clean shrimp looks like, and been deveined. So that's what we're going to use today. And then the holy trinity in making gumbo, 3 main ingredients: onion, bell pepper, celery, okay? And then I'm going to use okra. I love okra. Just a handful, just about 4 ounces. But you have to prepare okra a certain way, which we'll get into in a minute. And then some parsley, garlic, and then the homemade baked roux, not with oil, just baked roux. This 2 bowls here, y'all, this came from the bowl of shrimp. This was the heads and the skin. I saved this later on to make shrimp stock. And then I'm going to use between 1 cup to 2 cups of shrimp stock. This was made earlier. It was frozen in my refrigerator, my freezer, and that was made much earlier. And then this is also homemade chicken stock, about 4 cups. I'm going to use between 4 to 3 cups of that. And then you're going to need 2 or 3 bay leaves. And then if y'all want to learn how to make gumbo, you must have these 3 ingredients at the least. Shrimp Creole seasoning, okay? I typically use Tony Chachere's Shrimp Creole. You can get it on Amazon. if you don't have it at your grocery store. Also, Chef Prudhon's Seafood Magic. And the other one is the Gumbo Filet, not file, F-I-L-E, we say filet. And you're probably gonna need about 1 tablespoon of each. And then if you wanna add any cayenne pepper, make it even spicier, that's up to y'all. So let's get started. All right, y'all, the first thing we're gonna do is to cut the okra, because we're going to actually saute the okra to get some of the gooey stuff out of it. When we make gumbo, we don't want to just put okra in like that. It will just really mess up the gumbo, to be honest with y'all. So let's do that. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going to cut it in just small pieces. Now let's cut the onion. And with the onion, the celery and the green bell pepper, I'm just going to cut them in bigger chunks because I'm going to chop them up and slice them real fine in my little food processor. If you prefer to slice them yourself and mince them, that's fine. I like my gumbo to have a lot of the flavors. I mean, it's already flavorful, but I do it like that, and it saves time too. Next, we're going to cut the green bell pepper. And then next, the 2 stalks of celery. Garlic. And lastly, parsley, fresh parsley. You can chop it up any way you want. I like to chop it a little coarse. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, guys, is to chop up all these vegetables, and I actually prefer to use my little food processor. The Ninja is very efficient. So just add in the vegetables, the onions, the bell pepper, the celery, the garlic. And that is what we're looking at. This is what we need. So that's perfect for making gumbo. You actually should take the blade out first. Actually pour it out with the blade, that's fine. I have my pot here heated to about medium high, and then we are going to saute the okra. And in it, I put about 1 tablespoon of oil. And then you just want to keep stirring. And this whole purpose of doing this is to get the gooey stuff out of okra before you put it in the gumbo. And for this much okra, it's probably going to take about 4 or 5 minutes, and that's all the time we need. And they're looking good. Some of them are turning nice brown. And this okra is ready. All right, let's make some shrimp gumbo. I have my pot heating right now, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil. And we're going to saute first the vegetables, the main ingredients. Celery, onions, garlic, bell pepper. And I'm going to saute this in medium-high heat, and probably saute this for about 4 to 5 minutes. You want all the flavors of the vegetables to blend in, to fuse in. And now the next thing I do is I add the baked roux. Put it in. And y'all, you can make as much baked roux as you want. And if you only use part of it, and then you save the rest, put it in a tight sealed container, and you can use it later. So what I do at this point is I add a little bit of water, a tad bit, just to blend in the roux. And turn your heat down just a little bit. So now I'm blending the roux, the baked roux, with the vegetables. I probably added about a cup of water there. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and add about 2 cups of chicken stock. Here's 4 cups. I'm going to start with 2 cups first. Give it a stir. Just mix it all up. That's the color you want. And then I'm also going to add, I'm going to start with 1 cup, about half of this. You know this is homemade shrimp stock when it's sitting like that, y'all. When you stir it, all that shrimp goodness comes to the top. I'm going to put about 1 cup, about half of that first. Okay, give it a stir. Perfect consistency before we put anything else in it. So with that being said, like I said, I always have extra just in case. I'm going to add in all of it. So we have, I've added 2 cups of chicken stock and then 2 cups of shrimp stock. There you go. Now, to this, y'all, what you want to add next is 3 or 4 of these bay leaves. There you go. Add that. And then start with 1 tablespoon of Tony Chazarin's shrimp creole. These seasonings have a lot of salt, so I want to caution y'all not to put salt. As you can tell, I've not put any extra salt in my dish. So start with 1 tablespoon. This is delicious and spicy at the same time. About 1 tablespoon of Seafood Magic. If you can't find any of these products in your grocery store, go on Amazon.com. You're also going to add gumbo filet, okay? This is Cajun Chef Gumbo Filet, F-I-L-E, Gumbo Filet. Now you have it. Stir everything up. The next thing what y'all need to do is just let this come to a boil and simmer this for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Let's see how our gumbo is doing. Oh, smells so good. It has that aroma of the perfect gumbo. And it's, the consistency is just perfect. Okay, let's add our shrimp. And then we're probably going to let this simmer and let this shrimp cook for maybe about 6 to 8 minutes. At this point, only towards the end is when we add the okra that we sauteed. It's been about 15 minutes. Let's see how our shrimp gumbo is doing. Oh, wow. The aroma is just I can't explain it. Gumbo is such a delicious meal. So all I'm doing is now adding the last garnishing. Give it a stir. And this gumbo is done, but I'm going to taste it. I'm going to turn it off. Just give it a little taste. So delicious, out of this world. There's nothing better. Another thing that I'm sure y'all noticed is I did not add any salt in this dish. That's because the seasonings that we have salt. The shrimp has salt. So use your judgment, whatever y'all prefer. If you taste it and you like more salt, up to you. So I'm going to serve it up. Look at the shrimp. This is how gumbo should look like. And the color is that dark chocolate color. Ooh, look at that. It's spilling all over. Every time I make gumbo, it just reminds me of the first time I ever tasted gumbo when I was in the French Quarter back in 1988. Look at that, y'all. I can't explain to you if you've never tasted gumbo what this means to a lot of us here in the South and how good this food is. And the way I make it with the baked roux, it is so healthy. And you're not gonna know any difference. When I tasted this gumbo, it tasted to me like gumbo from some expensive restaurant in New Orleans, good gumbo. And then we eat it typically with rice or French bread or both, either way. My kids love my gumbo so much that last night when I made the gumbo in the big pot, one of my sons, by his third bowl, he didn't have any rice in it. He basically had this same size pot, it was just gumbo, and he was slurping the whole thing up like that. It was so good. So all you do is add some rice, add some rice to it, shrimp gumbo. Look at the shrimp. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Peace, love, and I hope to see you soon.